Okay, so I had this dream the other day.
Yeah.
It was a minister's nightmare, basically. I dreamt that it was Easter sunrise, Easter morning, and I was late to church. But then I had this moment where I realized, wait, I missed Holy Week.
Oh no! What did you do?
Well, I felt horrible because you can't really celebrate the fullness of the miracle and mystery of Easter without journeying through Holy Week.
Which makes me wonder, why do we call it Holy? What is Holy Week?
I'm so glad you asked that, Rachel.
I'm Rev Rachel.
And I'm Rev Kit.
And this is
Church on Fire.
She got both feet on the ground and she's burning it down.
And today we're talking about Holy Week because this is the beginning of what we call Holy Week, the most holiest week of the Christian year.
Where we remember and we walk alongside Jesus from the triumphant moment of Palm Sunday all the way through his journey through betrayal and forgiveness and death, ultimately to the story of love defeating death and fear forever.
And it begins on Sunday, Palm Sunday, where we remember the story of Jesus riding into Jerusalem, the capital city, on a very humble donkey with his disciples. And as he came into town, the people were so overwhelmed and excited. They were swaying palm branches and saying, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. And they threw their coats onto the trail, onto the road, to make a path for Jesus. So that's how the week begins, all kinds of triumph.
And then in our tradition, the next day that we celebrate together is on Thursday, which we call Maundy Thursday. Maundy, coming from the same word as mandate, which means commandment. And it's the day that we traditionally remember both the Last Supper, but also the commandment of Jesus to his disciples, love one another.
And he showed that commandment by reversing the roles, that he, as the teacher, took a towel and wrapped it around his waist and kneeled down and washed their feet. Yeah, and then on the next day is Friday, and we call that day Good Friday, which seems kind of an oxymoron because it's the day that we remember where Jesus was betrayed and arrested and crucified, executed for sedition by the Roman Empire.
In our tradition, when we celebrate or honor Good Friday, we're not romanticizing suffering, but rather we are declaring and practicing having faith that God is present in suffering and that God will not leave us there, that is not the end of the story.
Yeah. And so then the next day in our tradition is Holy Saturday, and it's a day of a really liminal space, a day of waiting as Jesus was buried in the tomb, and really waiting in that time period.
It's a fallow time as we wait for the mystery of Easter or Resurrection Sunday, which we'll celebrate with donuts at sunrise here in Berkeley.
And we remember and celebrate that on Easter Sunday the women came to the tomb and the tomb was empty, and that was surprising and scary and wonderful and a mystery, and that they weren't sure what to make of it at the time. And then as we go into the Easter season, which is the several weeks following Easter Sunday, we hear stories of how the people who loved Jesus, who were with him through his ministry, had experiences of Jesus still being with them even after he had died. And that helps us to remember again that God is with us always, and that Christ's presence is here with us today.
So however you are honoring or celebrating this Holy Week, our prayer for you is that you would walk alongside fellow pilgrims in the journey, and that you would know that God's promise of love is waiting for you on the other side.
Always. Amen.
Amen.